This is the Confidence Academy podcast. My name is Lilli Babcock and I am a transformational confidence coach, and I'm here with a message for you. The anxiety and overwhelm you've been experiencing is not something to be feared or avoided. It's also not something that gets to define who you are as a person. No matter who you are, no matter what your story is, I know that you get to live a life of fulfillment and joy. It's my absolute pleasure to bring this podcast series to you in collaboration with some phenomenal people from all over the world who have walked the same path as you. Together, we will share our stories, our challenges, and our triumphs with the intention of helping you to see that it's possible for you too. Anxiety may be something you live with, but it doesn't get to define who you are or how you live your life. So stand by for some powerful conversations, deep realizations, and the occasional F-bomb. So get those headphones in if you're around sensitive ears, and stand by. This is going to be fun. Oh Lord, do I have a treat in store for you today. I was honoured and thrilled to sit down with the amazing Anna Parker-Naples, who just this week became an international best-selling author for the second time with her latest book, Podcasting for Impact. Anna's story is truly one of inspiration, determination, and just being absolutely unavailable for quitting on her dreams. I won't give it away now, but I will say that you might need your tissues for this one because it did get emotional. It never ceases to amaze me how, irrespective of how we may feel at certain times, we truly are always being guided and supported on our journeys. It almost never ends up looking or feeling the way we expect it to. And it seems the more we grip and force, the harder it is to get to where we want to be. Anna is yet another example of how surrendering and allowing ourselves to be led by passion and joy is really the way to go. So put your phone down, unless you're using it to listen to this, of course. Pour your favourite drink, grab your best blanket, and settle in for what promises to be an epic conversation. Let's go. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Confidence Academy podcast. And I can absolutely barely contain my excitement to have on the podcast the one and only Anna Parker-Naples. Now, Anna has been on this podcast before, but none of you would know that because her interview is still sat in a pile from after I had my child, and it all just got buried in anyway. Anna and I have stayed connected, and my God, the shifts that have happened since we recorded that last episode, and I can't even remember what year, it must have been 2018, I think, or maybe even before. Oh my Lord, the epic change that has taken place is phenomenal. So Anna, a warm welcome to the podcast.
I'm so excited to be here, Lilli. And I was thinking, I don't even know when we did that interview that's never going to be aired, or maybe one day we'll bring that out of the annals, whatever. But I hadn't even started writing my first book then, and now I've written two. And I've gone on this whole kind of journey about what I'm really doing in the world and how I want to show up.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm a big believer in everything being as it's meant to be and divine timing and all of that. And I absolutely know, I remember that our conversation was powerful. So I think, maybe we should go back over it and drop little bits of it in. But my goodness, the person you were when I spoke to you back then is in so many ways not the person I'm speaking to now. And I've deliberately not worn makeup because I absolutely know that this is probably going to get really emotional.
No, I thought that. No mascara.
Yeah, no mascara. Just so that everyone can kind of catch up with it. Tell everybody who you are and what you do. Let's start there.
It's really hard, isn't it, to kind of encapsulate. So my name's Anna Parker-Naples, and I have just become a global bestseller for the second time with a book that's had 37 number ones across the world, which is called Podcast with Impact, how to start and launch your podcast properly. And my first book was called Get Visible, how to have more impact, influence and income. And they kind of come from the same journey, which I'm just going to share in a nutshell. So I was told about 10 years ago, maybe it's actually nearly 11 years ago, to expect that I would never walk again. And I was very depressed, feeling very low, feeling like life could never be anything, and knowing that I was going down a deep, dark hole. And I was in bed all of the time. I wasn't washing. I was trying to avoid going to the toilet because I couldn't get there myself. I needed help and support. And I think I felt pretty much as low as I can go. And I knew I had to do something. So I went and saw a hypnotherapist. And he actually was an NLP practitioner, which was the beginning of the start of me changing everything about my entire life. And he made me see that I'd been saying for a long time, not just while I was in a wheelchair, that I was stuck, limited and overlooked, that I was going to be rejected from whatever it was I wanted. And I'd been an actor in my early days, which is kind of how Lilli and I think found each other online, because we're both performers in one way or another, and I think we all sort of gravitate in Facebook. And he said to me, well, what if, one, what if you could recover? Two, do you know anyone in a wheelchair who's going on to do something epic? And three, what if you could still have global reach for global recognition? It was always about recognition for me. Global recognition, still be a performer, earn great money, still be in a wheelchair, and be there for your children. It was like I'd never actually thought all those things were possible. But it started to open up my eyes to possibilities around me, one of which was voiceover work from home, which I'd actually done earlier on in my career as an actor, but I'd never paid any attention to it because I was just going to be on stage. I was really into Shakespeare and things like that. So I started off on this kind of crazy journey, throwing myself into learning to edit from home so that I could become a voiceover artist. And I kind of, when I talk about it quickly, it seems like it just happened overnight, but it didn't. But it gave me so much hope that I could be something other than this blob lying in bed. And it really helped me shift my levels of negativity. And as I sit here now, actually, I'm not going to skip to now. I then went on this kind of crazy journey of becoming one of the leading people within voiceover. And I became very well known in the States for my work, particularly then when I focused on voice acting. So that would be for audiobooks, radio dramas, and for video games, predominantly still from home whilst working with people in LA and in New York. And then this kind of nutty thing happened where suddenly I was being kind of touted as the best British female voice actor in the world in America. And I went on to be on a finalist in Hollywood for 7 separate awards with the best of the best of the best. And I kind of thought, oh my God, I've made it. But my voice was knackered. And I was also completing my master NLP practitioner training. It helped me so much, changing how I thought, that I wanted more. And I had this, what can only be described, and I still struggle with the words, during a breakthrough, during that final part of my training, I had an awakening. And the awakening was that I am here to lead people, and that I had to say my own words, not other people's anymore. And that was a week before I was flying to Hollywood. And I had this moment on the red carpets. Bearing in mind, just 6 years before at this point, I'd been so utterly broken, thinking I'd never walk, wearing a pair of heels, walking pain-free amongst the best in the world in that field. And I kind of just thought, I'm done here. I'm done here. I want other people to realize they can go from low to high and feel good about doing it.
Yeah.
Sorry, this is a long story. And at that
it's moment, a brilliant story.
At that moment, I thought I was leaving all of my audio stuff behind. So this is how Lilli and I then would have met. I then threw myself into, well, I'm going to inspire people. I didn't even think about it as a business. I'm going to inspire people. I want to reach loads of people. I want those school mums in the playground to know, like I used to feel, that this isn't everything, that they're more. And so I started an online business called Inspiring Mummy Club and started my first podcast with that, which is how Lilli and I met. Lilli came on my first podcast, Inspiring Mummy Club. So that's how we kind of connected. And as I kind of went into that, I realized I knew nothing about entrepreneurship. I knew nothing about running an online business, but my God, I'm ambitious and I'm very driven. And so then I kind of realized, well, I want to write a book. I want to get this into book format. So that was my first book, Get Visible, about how you go from nothing, from feeling like nothing, to recognizing you are more, seeing yourself for all you're capable of, and then how you go about strategically to make it happen, whatever that is for you, how you do that in a modern world, how you network with people, how you position yourself, how you push yourself through those mental barriers to make it happen. And then last summer, so that then kind of created a whole different business. And I got rid of speaking to mums. I was speaking to people who were very like me. And then last summer, so just, gosh, let's think. Actually, it was just before I released the first book. I knew in the back of my mind, people kept coming and asking me about podcasts, podcast this, podcast that. And I'd just be like, oh, just do this, just do that. Don't do that, do this. And I realized that I hadn't got my first podcast as impactful as I wanted. And people were naturally coming to me for asking for stuff. So I thought, well, if I'm going to teach people how to podcast, I'm going to make sure I do it properly. So I then went back to basics, learned everything, and launched my second podcast, which became a #1 international top ranking podcast across US, UK, Canada. It was nuts. And on the back of that, my book then, 6 weeks later, the first book, became an international bestseller. So I decided, right, well, if I've got this really strong podcast now, I realized that there are other people coaching about podcasts, but they don't have the audio experience. They haven't had successful podcasts in the way that my second podcast is. So I want to tell people how to do this. And what's really interesting now, Lilli, is that when I had that breakthrough, that awakening, what I pictured for myself was that I had to climb up a mountain through the brambles, get to the top, and I'd got to the top, and that not only was my hands were there to pull other people up my mountain, but that in the distance I could see other leaders, and that what my job in this weird vision years ago, my job was to teach everybody smoke signals so that the leaders could be seen by the other people who need to climb the mountain. And that kind of makes me really well up when I think that, because now I'm helping many emerging, established, arising people who don't even necessarily see themselves as that, work out how to amplify their message so that more people can be lifted and woken up. And that, it just makes me really tearful when I think about the full circle of where I've gone.
It's just amazing. I'm covered in goosebumps.
Yeah, me too.
And it's rare. I've been doing this podcast since 2017, and I've spoken to a lot of amazing people that are doing amazing things in the world. And some of the stories that have been shared on this podcast they should be in movies. It's incredible. It's very rare, though, for me to be interviewing someone whom I've actually seen it. I've seen it firsthand. I didn't know you back at the beginning, but I knew you when you were doing the Inspiring Mummy Club. I have seen you. We've been in the groups together. I've seen the posts that you shared. I've seen your frustrations. I've seen everything you've been trying that never quite caught. And you come back again and again and again and again. And I've seen you, trying something, and it's kind of caught, and then it didn't quite, and then you've come back again and you've come back again. And that vision that you had has given me goosebumps. And I just think, I find it amazing that we're all down here on this planet, feeling like we're so lost and alone and we don't know what we're doing, when in fact the plan is there. The plan had to be there because you were given the vision all those years ago. And at the time, you probably just thought, like, what the hell is that I've just seen? Smoke signals and mountains, like what? And you're actually doing it. And, the people that listen to this podcast, it's evolved over time as everything does. And it started out as a resource for anxiety sufferers, people struggling with mental health. And it was always with the message that you can thrive in spite of that. And then through the years, and certainly since 2018, it's really started to turn into this spiritual path. It's really mirroring my own path. And I just know there must be so many people listening who are maybe still in that place of darkness for their life, whatever that might look like. For you, it was being told you were never going to walk, and that would be devastating for most people. But when someone has a dream of being an actor and aspirations of being on the stage, to be told you can't walk, like, that is taking everything away from you in that moment. And it's so easy to believe that you're done and that there's nowhere to go from there, and that you're not gonna, that even if you could find a way forward, that you're never really going to have it as good again. I think this is the thing that people really think, isn't it? And your story, aside from what you're doing, teaching the world how to podcast and get their messages heard, and all of that, aside from that, what you're really doing is you're telling people, do not quit even when it looks hopeless. Like, don't take the darkness as the be all and end all, because there is a path, there's a plan, there's a journey for all of it. You are who you are because of every little thing that you went through. And this is the message, and this is what I'm seeing, especially now. There's been this big uprising over the last couple of years of people that have been through these, in some cases, horrendous, life challenges. And those people are emerging. And, the thing that made me really goosebumpy with your mountain and smoke signals vision was, I don't know when you had that vision, but I had a similar vision.
Oh my God, what are you going to say? I'm already tingling.
I had a similar vision in 2018. So when I had my awakening, and people on this podcast have heard this now about 50,000 times.
I haven't.
And I'm not even going to apologize for it because it's such a good story. But I was in the shower. I'd had an epic journal session. I was showering in the middle of the day, which was a weird thing for me anyway, but I just had this sense of I need to be clean. And I was in the shower and I heard a voice say to me, you are here for the people that are waking up to their purpose. And I was like, what? Like, what? That's such a weird thing to think. Because, this voice that I heard wasn't this big boomy voice that you might think. It was me. It was my thinking voice. It was the same voice that I hear when I'm wondering whether to buy chickpeas or kidney beans in the supermarket, And so I was like, well, all right. And because I'm sassy, I questioned it. And it was like, well, all right, if that's why I'm here, then why did I have anxiety? Why am I doing this podcast for anxiety? And why is everything geared around that? And the reply was sort of, well, duh, because that's how it feels when you're out of alignment. This is how people feel.
Right. That's so how I journal to myself. Well, duh.
Yeah,
really
duh.
Duh, don't be stupid. You know the answer. Why are you pretending you don't know it?
Exactly. Yeah. Wake up. And then I was like, well, all right then. So then why have I been given the gift of singing? If I'm not supposed to be a singer, and if I'm not supposed to be known for that, and if that isn't my purpose, then why have I been given my voice? And it was like, well, duh, that's how you talk to the humans. Like, the humans you're here to help aren't going to listen to you if you start spouting your spiritual stuff, because they are only just waking up. But when you sing, they're going to feel it. It's energetic. And the reason it's so in line with your vision was the real sense I got as I had that vision was, by the way, don't go thinking you're special, because there's more of you. There's an entire army of you, and you're flung around the world. Your job is to find each other. And it was really, it was really like this pod activation. I've said it so many times. It was I love that concept. Activation. Yeah.
So for me, that vision, I used to feel, I had friends. I used to feel incredibly lonely because nobody around me was that I could see, were as ambitious, as driven, as switched on. Certainly no one around me was waking up to go, oh my God, I'm bigger than I am, bigger than people think I am. I am more. Nobody around me was like that. And now, Lilli, I have the most, from following that passion and that purpose, I have the most insane close friendships that I've ever had with people on leaders doing similar but very different things. And working out the fun. This is the fun part and the hard part. Working out, how do you go from being that person who knows you're going to lead to finding the people you're going to lead? How do you do that? And actually, we have this gift of social media, and that's the way I see it. It's a game. There are algorithms and all of that, but we can now reach people anywhere. And podcasting for me is just another vehicle of that. But if you don't step up and acknowledge who you are, how can you possibly connect with the other people who are like you?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And it's an energetic, it's an energetic contract that's already been signed. We are tethered at the soul to the people that we're supposed to help and to the people who are here to help us. And I think, I don't know about you, but as someone who is I feel I'm very driven as well. And I feel that I always like to be at the top of whatever game I'm playing. Like I just, even in as a toddler, when I went to preschool, like I don't even know what you'd call it, like nursery or playgroup, while all the other children were clinging to their parents' legs and going, no, I can't, no, I can't. I was in the sandpit telling people, you play with this, you play with that. I mean, maybe I was the reason the others didn't want to come in. I don't know. But, I wasn't clinging. I was like, yes, I'm doing this. And I just feel like it's become a habit of mine because I'm that person. It's become a habit of mine to believe that I always had to be the one that knew the answers, that I always had to be the one that knew what she was doing. And I had to be seen that way. And I really feel passionately about helping other people that are like that, because that becomes very, very lonely. Because when you need help, and you will need help because you're a human being, and this is the deal that we signed up for, you're going to tell yourself that there's nobody that can help you. You're going to look into your contacts in your phone or in your address book, and you're going to tell yourself that there's nobody you can reach out to, that nobody's going to understand, that you're going to be judged for feeling the way you feel or for acting the way that you're acting. And you are going to keep yourself stuck and playing small because you are going to believe your own BS that because you're the one at the top, no one can support you.
I get that so much. And in fact, that's kind of what that first book, The Get Visible, is all about, is the fact that I used to feel and have to push to prove that I was the best at whatever I was doing. And if people didn't recognize that I was the best, that would be incredibly painful. But sitting in that was fear that I wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
Fear that I wasn't good enough. But look beyond that. And actually, if you've had any sense of awakening, you're way more than your ego. And what's interesting for me is that I'm very ambitious and very driven, and I like a good ego trip. I mean, I'm high as a kite this week, having my second book become a bestseller. And why shouldn't I enjoy that at the same time? But if behind what you're doing that fuels your ego, and it does feel nice, if behind what you're doing there, if that fuels you to become more visible, to be heard, but behind that sits this purpose to help other people. And they sit in tandem, they work together, then why not enjoy that? Because if you are good at what you do, why not let that shine? But it doesn't have to be at the expense of other people.
Yeah, I
right?
so feel that. Yeah. And that's such a common fear, I think, for people. I just want to touch on something else as well, or not something else. It's all connected to what we've been talking about, but really around this conversation of purpose, and and this idea that, I mean, you said it yourself. You've now connected with your friends and all these other, other leaders, other people that are, experts in their space, and you lift each other up. And this is truly the gift we get given when we notice our own worth. Because when you don't see that value in yourself, you would never put yourself in the room with other people like that.
That didn't happen to me. I made it happen.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And that's exactly it. And so really the greatest gift any of us are going to give ourselves is to recognize our own value. That, anyone that's listening to this going, oh, well, it's all right for you because, you've got an acting background, or like whatever sentence, whatever, ending you're putting on that sentence, it's not true that you can't create the same level of success in your life, whatever that looks like for you. And not everybody's going to want a best-selling book or even an online business. But I want everybody to know that if you exist on this planet, you have a purpose too. And your purpose is, first of all, to fulfill yourself, recognize your worth, connect with the other people who see that in you, because then it's all mirrors, and you're reflecting it back to each other. And then you get to have the impact you're supposed to have in the world. And whether that means you're impacting 10 people, 1 million people, it doesn't matter. It's just that knowledge that You have that in you. And really what I wanted to highlight about your story and about what you're doing now is what keeps coming back to me, that you have a soul mission. And that's what your vision was about. Your soul mission is to elevate people. You're still the inspiring mummy. You are still every version of yourself that you've ever been. And it was all collecting and coming together to create who you are now in this moment. And it's going to continue to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And right now your human is podcasting, and you're leading people in that. But if podcasting suddenly fell down in 10 years time or whatever, there would be another thing for you to leap to. And this is what I want people to know.
I can already see my own evolution out of where I am now.
Yeah.
I can already see what that is.
Yeah.
Or potentially is I already know the things in my head that will become subsequent books or subsequent podcasts or whatever method. And what's really interesting is one of the reasons I've chosen, I guess, podcasting is obviously my audio background, but I don't want to get on camera all the time. I don't always want to do that. And there's a barrier there for me. And a lot of that actually was a fear of being judged on camera. And feeling like on camera, I've got to be perfect. Now, I don't feel like that about Facebook Lives, but I certainly do for creating a YouTube channel, that it's got to be the right thing. I don't know where I was going with this, but it's about letting yourself have that vision of where you're going, letting yourself be whatever it needs to be on that journey. So now it feels kind of funny to me that I set up a business that was about inspiring mummies, right? Because I've grown and evolved through that. But if I hadn't, and I launched that business within 7 weeks of having that moment of, I've got to do something. I had no idea what I was doing. No idea. But I did it. And I learned hard. I failed hard. And every single time I picked myself up and said, right, let's go.
Yeah.
And even now, 2.5 weeks ago, I had a little bit of a hormonal moment, and I was ready to walk away from everything. And then I kept going, this is crazy. I've got a book launch in 2.5 weeks. How can I possibly walk away?
Yeah.
But it's normal to have that too. So it's realizing, okay, am I in some weird hormone cycle? Is there something going on for me? Am I just exhausted? Is it true that I can't do all the things I'm telling myself I can't? Do I need to step back? Like often for me, I have to take myself off the treadmill, step back, relax, stop, have a couple of days out, go somewhere else. Not that we can do much of that in lockdown, but go somewhere else, have a change of scenery, rest. And then I go, oh no, I was just tired. Oh no, I was just a bit down. Or oh no. And actually that then allows me to go, okay, so what have I learned from last week feeling that way? What were the big lessons that I was being shown? And someone said a really good phrase to me: when things aren't going your way, think about, how is this for me? Not what's against me, but how is this for me? And I wanted to share something about that. So last year I had a launch that really didn't go very well. And I was like, this doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense when I know all the stuff about launching. I've got a great thing. I'm as visible as it can be. What's going on here? And the little voice, when I asked myself, what if is this for me? There were a couple of things that came up. One was that right now, if I had got a massive increase in the amount of clients I had, I would have taken my eye off the ball with my children. So I'd have been out of a line because we had some things going on that needed my attention for a 3-month period, let's say. And had the course or whatever it was, I can't even remember the product it was now, had that taken off at that point, I would have not been where I need to be. That's the most important thing to me.
Yes.
So actually then I could go, oh, that's really interesting. I hadn't seen that before. And then I realized that actually I was being called and nudged to work in a slightly different field, and that the offer that was, when I took my foot off the pedal, I could go, I don't even want to teach that. I want to teach this.
Yeah.
And I want to share that, because sometimes things that feel like they're going wrong are for you.
100%.
They're for you because they're giving you that opportunity to reflect on what it is you really want. what your
Yes.
purpose really is, and how could that be showing up in a different way?
Yeah, I couldn't agree with that more. And I literally was writing a PDF yesterday. It's going to be coming out in a free guide that this lady's putting together for small business owners in the light of lockdown. She just wanted to create this little booklet to help people, and I've contributed, and I was writing exactly that. It was this idea that we talk ourselves out of 100% so many times. We think we should be happy with just our 60%, or even 99% is not 100%. And when you know what you're worthy of, and when you know what it is that you want, you can just align to that. And you're so right. It's, we're so busy sometimes telling ourselves, oh God, like this failed, that failed, I didn't achieve this, I didn't achieve that, that we don't stop and go, do I actually want that though? Because we're so in our head about what we think we need in that moment that we're not thinking, what do I want overall? And I've shared this before, but for a while I was chasing that laptop lifestyle that everyone shows on social media, until one day I stopped and was like, hang on a minute, working on a beach in Bali would be a frigging nightmare. I've got 3 children. Like, how it would not be serene. It would not be what the pictures show. It's not my truth. It's just
So
a version of
interesting.
truth.
For me, that doesn't appeal. A nice holiday for a week, and then I get bored, and then I want to be at home because I like being at home. So for me, everything that I've created has always been around, I'm going to start work at 9:15, and I'm knocking off at 2:45. And that for me is the lifestyle I've wanted to create. Because I want to do the school runs and I want all of that stuff. And when you were talking about that, like, when things don't work out, so often, and I've caught myself in this trap many times, when we haven't got as much money around us as we think we want, or we think we need, or that we think would give us the lifestyle we think we want, we get caught up in the chasing the money. Caught up. But actually, when you go back into how important the work is you're here to do, there are other ways to get the money than you think there are right now, not getting the result you want. If you're an online course runner or whatever, and people aren't buying your course, there are other ways to do it. There are other things to do.
And this all comes back to the mind, which I know you're such a huge fan of. And we should probably do an entire podcast series for all of the conversations that we could have around this. And I know that we need to wrap it up soon, because otherwise, well, we won't be able to do the things that we're supposed to do. And I think everyone listening, their ears will drop off. But, guys listening, let me know what you're thinking about this conversation. Do get in touch, jump into the Facebook group, Wake Up, Rise Up, come and have that conversation. Email me. I said this before on the podcast, and nobody was talking to me, and then I asked you guys to email me, and people actually did, and it really did make my week. So even just drop an email, lillybadcock@gmail.com, and let me know what you're thinking about this conversation. What is this bringing up for you? Because what I'm getting from it, through everything that we've discussed, is it really is this tussle with our mind. If you think you're stuck, or if you think you're being hard done by, or whatever you think, that is all you're going to see, but it isn't true. And, Anna said it already, and I'll say it again. You can come back and question, is it actually true that I can't do this thing? Is it actually true? Like you've just mentioned money. It's very, very easy to get stuck in a mindset of, I can't make money. It's bullshit though, because you could make money at any point. You could just go and get a job somewhere. Like, there is money to be made. You have to realize that you're choosing not to do those things because what you're doing is important, and that's fine. But stop telling yourself that you can't make the money, because you can. What you're actually doing is focusing on something that's important for you. And if the money isn't flowing for some reason, or if anything isn't flowing, then it's about putting aside all these ideas that it's because you're not worthy, or it's because you did something wrong, or because you were a terrible human, or because you did something bad in a past life, or whatever. What you said about your kids is so unbelievably true. And I think we so often will chase goals because of what we think they're going to give us, and actually they're not aligned to our actual goals. So one of the goals being more time with children.
Yes.
If you're, yeah,
that was exactly what was going on for me. So I was thinking, if I got the money, we could just have more relaxation time, and then I could be with the children. I can be a better mother. And actually, when I slowed down, I went, the kids need me now. I could be a better mother right now on my sofa under a blanket. And actually, once I let go of that, I've got to make the money. Then I had more insights about what else I was going to do.
Yeah, exactly that.
Without the frenetic, I mean, I'm very energetic, but without the freneticism, I don't even know if that's a word. I'm going to just own it.
It's a
without
great
the
word.
Freneticism behind everything you do, without the panic.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my goodness, I could talk to you forever, but I know that you have a life to lead.
That's why we met. Right?
That's why we met, soul sisters through and through. And honestly, I said this to you before we went live, but I'll say it again just so it goes on the record. It's been so unbelievably inspiring to watch your rise. It's such an honor to be part of this journey, to be watching you. She's going to be watching you, and and to know that it's possible for every single one of us as well. You are one of the people I watch and I'm like, oh my God, I can actually do this. You haven't lost who you are. You've not lost your realness. You are still the person I met however many years ago, and you're changing the world. And it's so inspiring. She's definitely not crying, people.
I'm definitely crying. That's really nice to hear. And I think the thing is, one of the things I've been conscious of as I build a personal brand, which I had no understanding if that was what I needed to do when I started this journey 4 years ago. But now I understand, to get people to read my books, to listen to my podcast, to buy my stuff. If they buy my stuff, I can help more people. I get more reach because I can do more marketing. I don't care about marketing, but I can write. The more I rise, the more I elevate myself, the more people can see me. And and then I can get that message out there, and it can get heard, and it can disseminate, and we can wake more people up. I've been really conscious that I've wanted everything I'm doing. I'm a very normal woman. So I strike this balance between aspirational, inspirational, and downright normal, because that is who I am. So if I presented myself in any other way, it would feel incongruous. Then it would feel icky and out of alignment. And so I am the woman who has been to Hollywood God knows how many times and dresses like a total fox. But I am also the person who loves going out for a dog walk in her wellies and getting really muddy and is slobbing on the sofa on a Saturday night, and that's bliss. So I've always been conscious that I wanted to share all of it.
Yeah, that's the sense I get from you. You literally, and I talk about this a lot actually, but this old paradigm of gurus who are going, it's my way and everyone must follow, is dying. It's gone, it's dead. And you are such an epitome of what I've seen coming forward, which is, hugely inspiring, hugely successful, but going, here, there's room for you too. There's no more, Rose on the door while Leo drowns next to the Titanic. Like, we're now budging up because there was room on the door on the Titanic. Let's just say that. Like, she could have made room for him on that door. And you're making room. You're literally saying, you guys can come with me.
I did not expect an analogy of Rose Dawson. Is it Rose?
Rose, you're so stupid, Rose.
Jack. Just move over.
Just get your butt over. Exactly. Oh, she just let him go. Oh, I'm so sad, but see you later because the door's mine. Yeah, no. It's so, like, who knows? Like,
can you imagine doing that for your loved one? I'll tell you what, dear, actually, I don't like the cold. So maybe Jeff would piss me off.
Yeah, I mean, I can't actually honestly say that I wouldn't have done the same thing, if I'm honest. But, I just think I watch that film and every time I hope and pray she's going to make a different choice. And to the point now, it's just too anxiety inducing for me. I'm like, oh, she's a bitch. Yet again, you've let him go, for goodness sake. But I just think, there's room on Anna's door, you guys. I mean, you've just had a little glimpse into the workings of my mind. This is how my brain works, people. I can go from podcast to Titanic in like a nanosecond. A split second. Anna, just so that people can find you, you've been talking about your books and your podcast. Where can they find, we'll put the links in the show notes, of course, but where can they find your work?
So come find me at Anna Parker-Naples on that's Parker Naples, not Parker Knowles and not Parker Bowles. Common mistakes, Parker Naples. And yeah, you can find me anywhere, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. But I think this is going out tonight, Lilli. I still have an offer on for my book. So I'm going to give you a quick link. The offer expires at midnight. The book, Podcast with Impact, because those of you who know you've got a message to share need to get this. It's 99p with lots of freebies and a competition to win some podcasting equipment. If you go to AnnaPN, lowercase, .co/impact, not .com, annapn.co/impact, then you would be able to get the book, enter the competition and get loads of free stuff, basically.
Can I just tell you guys, I've been reading the book and it's absolutely mind-blowingly good. And it was written this year, by the way. It was literally, it's hot off the press. You will feel that when you read it. And the bonuses that I've been getting in my inbox as well are just phenomenal. The one I got yesterday was some kind of 8-week launch plan to get your own show. Just very, very quickly, if anyone's listening and thinking, oh, but I don't have an online business, or I'm not going to be an online guru, so podcasting isn't for me. Anna, give them a smackdown. What you got to say about that?
So podcasting right now is the best way to get people to hear your message. You don't have to have an online business. You don't even have to want to have an online business. But if you are someone who has a hobby, a passion, or a purpose, you can get your tribe to find you by getting that message out there. And podcasting is growing at a phenomenal rate. And what might happen, let's just put this out there, what might happen as you step up into that thing you're really good at, that you feel passionate about, whatever it is, you might well, if you followed what I tell you to the nth degree, that might well create a new monetization. What do I mean? New income stream for you. It might well pan out to be a business, but equally it might well help you find those people. They can find you because you're literally putting that flashlight on saying I'm here, and that might then open up all sorts of relationships and friendships, connections, collaborations, and maybe a business.
100%. And my God, I'll tell you what isn't going to stand in the way of that as well, and that's a ruddy global pandemic. You can podcast till your heart's content. Coronavirus, not today, love. You know, we can still be doing our podcasting.
We're booming. I mean, podcasting has really, we had something like, within the first 3 weeks of lockdown, 280,000 podcasts were started.
No.
Because people had been thinking about it for so long, and then all of a sudden they've got the ability to do it. They've got the time to do it.
Yeah. Amazing. Anna, it's just been amazing. Thank you so much for coming on. And to everybody listening, I hope that you guys loved it as much as I did. You know, do get in touch with your comments, your questions, and we will be linking in the show notes to everything that we mentioned here in the episode. Also in the Facebook group, Wake Up, Rise Up, you can carry the conversation on over there. And Anna, I'm going to be inviting you to come on as a guest. I'm launching a brand new online chat show. This is an exclusive, you guys. So it's my second podcast that I launched this year, thanks to Anna. I did have membership, y'all. And it's called Waking Up to Purpose. And I dropped a few episodes and then I was like, what do I really want to do with this? Because this podcast has gone into that direction anyway, I've decided to make Waking Up to Purpose a live online chat show. So I will be inviting Anna to come back on there. It will just be a 15-minute snapshot interview. Fabulous. But it would be great to have you on there. To everybody listening, keep your eyes peeled for information of when that's launching. And to Anna, once again, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Have a good day, you guys. Look after yourselves. Remember, confidence is yours as soon as you choose it. I'm going to be back again really, really soon. Mwah. And there you have it. You know, I had chills right from the start because, as I said in the interview, I first interviewed Anna for this podcast right back at the start of my own podcast journey. And I just had a moment where I thought, I wonder what that Anna would have made of today's conversation. It's such an inspiring reminder of what we can achieve when we choose to push past our limiting thoughts and beliefs. In case you didn't get it during the interview, Anna went from being laid up on the couch and being told she may never walk again to receiving multiple nominations and recognition as a top voice actor in Hollywood, and then becoming an international bestseller of 2 books whilst creating a 6-figure business. Just take a moment to breathe that in, and then ask yourself what would be possible for you if you just allowed yourself to stay focused on what you truly wanted and then allowed it all to unfold. Let's please continue this conversation over in the Wake Up Rise Up Facebook group. I want to know what this episode brought up for you and what changes you've chosen to make as a result of listening to it. If you prefer, you can email me directly at lillybadcock@gmail.com. And you know I love hearing from you, so go on, make my day. I promise I'll reply personally, and then I'll make your day too. Don't forget, Anna's special offer to grab her book for just 99p is still valid until midnight tonight on Friday the 6th of November. I've put the link in the show notes below, and as ever, you'll also find all of the links you need to connect with both Anna and myself. Stay tuned for more information about the Waking Up to Purpose online chat show, which is coming soon. And in the meantime, have a wonderful week and look after yourselves. I'll be back again soon with more awesomeness just for you. Lots of love.